Hi guys, my name is Durgab Sabudwani and welcome to the new series on AWS Lambda event. In this series, we are going to see that what are the common events which is required to trigger the Lambda. The first event which we are going to cover is AWS SQS, and the main goal of entire this video is to how we can test everything locally using LocalStack and SAM framework. So what we are going to do in this video is first we are going to create one AWS SQS which is with the help of AWS CDK, and then we are going to create this AWS Lambda again with the help of CDK. Then we are going to integrate both of the things. That means we can use the AWS event source mapping of Lambda to point to this AWS SQS. Once the mapping is done, the AWS Lambda will start polling the AWS SQS, and whenever some message is going to reach to the queue, it is going to be taken by AWS Lambda because it is continuously polling this queue, and then that's why the message will be processed by AWS Lambda. And this is how we are going to test everything locally, and that is the main agenda of this video. So let's get started. So before jumping into the coding part, we need to install few things on our box. We require Node.js, CDK, SAM CLI, LocalStack, as well as Docker. So this SAM CLI and LocalStack internally they both use Docker, so that's why Docker is required. And we also require CDK Local and AWS Local. So this will be required to test the application or to deploy the application on LocalStack. So once you set up everything, then you can open your favorite editor. So in my case, I am using Terminator, and inside the Terminator, what we are going to do is, so if you can see this SQS trigger Lambda, this is my root directory, and inside I can quickly navigate to my root directory, and then I'm going to create one more directory for my deployment, and this is where I'm going to put my entire CDK code. So so this CDK is mostly used for deployment as well as for the local testing. So primary purpose is for the deployment, and that's why the folder name is deploy. Then I can quickly navigate to this deploy folder, and here I will run the command which is CDK initialize, and then we need to select the language, and in our case it will be a TypeScript. So this is going to take few seconds, and once this is done, then we can quickly open this deploy folder. So this initialization is done, so we can quickly come here and we can see that it has created couple of folders. We have this bin folder, we have lib folder, we have a couple of files here, cdk.json and packet.json. So, and also we have this readme file which is going to share us some useful command, and it is also going to tell us that cdk.json tells us where the toolkit, how to execute and everything. So in normal Node.js application, the packet.json is mostly a starting point, and similarly for the CDK, it is a cdk.json which is starting point. And so this entire application for the CDK is kind of a as independent application, and that's why. So the first line which is say that we need to kind of go for the file which is being deploy.ts. So because the folder name is deploy, that's why it is created the deploy.ts. If your folder name is something else, then depending on the folder name, it is going to create the file name. So the deploy.ts is kind of a starting point where we need to kind of go through all the code. First, it is going to create a CDK app, and then it is going to create a deploy stack. So again, the name is because of the folder name. So what we can do is we can just change the name here as SQS, and at at the end when we are going to run few CDK command, it is going to convert this deploy stack into a CloudFormation. We are going to see in another 5 minutes. So once this basic setup is done, we can see there's the deploy stack is coming from lib deploy stack. So we can go to the lib folder and we can go to the deploy stack, and here we are actually going to write our code. So if you can see here, we already have this, they have given example for SQS. We can use the same example here, and they have created one queue. So let me quickly uncomment the code and also uncomment this code. So we are not going to deal with something which is related to the visibility timeout, so let me quickly ignore this thing, and then we are only going to put a queue name, and in our case it will be simply serverless SQS. So what this code does is it just kind of take the SQS object. We are just initializing a new queue, and once the initialization done, we are getting the queue. The second thing is, the second important thing is we need to initialize our Lambda. So here I can quickly write handler, and it will be, let me quickly initialize the Lambda just like it has initialized here. It will be Lambda, and here we go, Lambda. So here I will say new Lambda equal to function, and here we need to pass first the current scope, then we need to pass what will be the logical ID which is required by this CloudFormation stack. I will say hello SQS, and then we need to initialize the property. So few properties are very important. First is runtime. So because we are going to write our code in JavaScript, so that's why the runtime will be a Node.js. So here I'll put lambda dot runtime dot Node.js, and then it will record a few more properties like a function name. So in our case, let me put hello SQS. So after the function name, it is going to ask where we need to look for our code. So for looking, we need to just provide the location where our code is reside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put code, and here we need to put lambda dot code dot from asset, and here we need to pass the relative file where we are going to put our JavaScript files. So in our case, I'm going to create a folder which will be equivalent to kind of a deploy dot folder. So let me quickly create a folder src, not here. Let me quickly do it using terminal. Here I'm going to navigate to another folder, mkdir src folder. So you can see that just next to deploy we have src folder, and here I'm just put the path where I'm going to put the code. And the last thing which is going to ask you is that, let's say if the source have multiple files, then which file I need to select and which function I need to kind of execute. So I can quickly write one more thing here, index.js, and here I will put handler expose.handler equal to handler. So that means my file name will be index.js and the function name will be handler. So if I'm going back here, I will put handler, it will be index, which is the file name, and then handler, which is the name of function which you are going to execute. So this is the two important things that we need to do. So after this configuration, the third thing which is required is to kind of integrate both of the things. That means the SQS event is going to trigger the Lambda, and that will be done by handler dot add event source, and here we need to put new SQS event source, and there we need to provide the queue information. Now things are getting very interesting. Now we have three things. One, we have this queue. Second, we have this Lambda function, and third is the integration between both of them. So we can go with very small approach. We'll take first step. We are only going to test the Lambda, and for testing the Lambda, we required a SQS event. For creating an SQS event, I can quickly open the terminal. I can quickly clear it out, and here I'm going to write a command which is SAM local generate event. So the same CLI support generating a local event, and the event will be an SQS. And if I'm going to click here, we can see that it is only supporting receive message command. So if I'm going to run the same command again with the receive message, here we'll get a event which will be passed to the Lambda from queue. So we'll just copy this event, and I'm going to create one more file here, SQS event.json, and I'm going to paste this down. Now if you can see this event, it is not getting a single record. We have more than one records, and one of the important properties body. Now if I'm going back to my handler, we have not done anything over here. Now important thing is, because this is a kind of method of invocation which is called as Lambda polling. In case of Lambda polling, it is a responsibility of Lambda to send a acknowledgement back to the queue whether the message has been successful or not. In case of message failure, the queue will again kind of try to do the retrieve of the Lambda, and this is going to work. So important thing is we need to send a message back to the queue that whether it's successful or not. Now here is the interesting thing. The Lambda is expecting it should be either a promise or we should have a callback. So in the old version of Lambda, we used to write event context callback, and when everything is successful, we used to call this callback. So this was the old way of writing this code. The new way is we don't have to write this callback. We can convert this function into a promise, and that will be done by just putting our async keyword over here. And whenever we are going to pass anything, let's say return null. So this is going to send an acknowledge that nothing has been happened to this thing. Now we can quickly write here console.log, and here I will put hello from Lambda, And then what we are going to do is we are also going to process this message, and we are only going to write the body thing. For that, let me quickly do one thing here. Let me quickly copy paste the code. Here what I'm going to do is, this event has multiple records, and I'm just kind of doing a for each loop on each record. I'm getting the body information. I'm just doing a console.log here. So this is good. So once this is done, whenever you are going to make a single line of code change, it is important that we should kind of do the CloudFormation stack again. We should run the CDK synthesis command to generate the CloudFormation stack, and that is something I'm going to do on this deploy folder. Here I'm going to run CDK synth, which is going to generate CloudFormation for us, and then that will take the latest JavaScript file. Now this, when this is done, we have the event information ready. Now we need to run another command, which is SAM local invoke. Here we need to pass the template. The template will be this SQS deploy stack dot template dot JSON. So here I'm going to type CDK.out SQS template dot JSON, and this is going to run the function, and it's not able to find out that thing. Now we need to pass an event, and this event information is coming from SQS event.json. If I'm going to run this again, we can see that it has just print the hello from Lambda, which is this code, and then it is print hello from SQS, which is the event which I have passed here, hello from SQS. This is something it is getting printed over here. So, but this is where we only tested the Lambda. Now we need to test everything kind of locally, and for that what I will do is I will create one more terminal here, and here I'm going to write a command LocalStack Start. LocalStack Start. Now it has just started the local stack. Then here I will do is I just run a command CDK Local Deploy, and what this CDK Local Deploy command will do is going to do is it's just going to take the local CloudFormation template and is going to deploy to this local stack. Yes, I want to deploy. So whenever you are running the local stack first time, then it is you are going to get this message, and the solution is we need to run another command, which is CDK Bootstrap. So here it is mentioned that run this CDK Bootstrap command. So what this CDK Bootstrap command does is CDK local, because we want to deploy on the local stack, and then we need to run this command. So what this CDK Bootstrap command does, it is going to copy a binaries which is required by the CDK framework, and it is going to deploy over here. So this is going to be failed because some configurations is still required for the CDK for the local stack, but that is fine because all the binaries which is required file has been copied over there. So let me quickly clear again this thing. And the second thing is we need to run our command CDK Local Deploy, which will be responsible for deploying the CloudFormation stack which has been created by CDK framework to this local stack. I will say yes, and this time the stack will get deployed. Now let me clear one more thing. Now we need to test the application. That means we need to kind of test our AWS Lambda. So the common command is to send a message to the queue is AWS SQS send message, and then we need to provide the URL for the queue. So for that, let me again come back here, deploy. So we have created a queue, but we don't know what is the URL for the queue. So for getting the URL for the queue, we can quickly do this dot export value, and here we can pass the value of queue, and we can pass the name, what name we need to export. So this is mostly common when we want to share some information from one CloudFormation stack to another CloudFormation stack. We can export to the global variable, and that can be picked by another CloudFormation stack. So I will put SQS Q URL. So if I'm going to come here and run the command again, which is CDK Local Deploy, I need to run synthesis first because there is change in the CloudFormation stack. Sorry, here I need to put to URL. That is something I need to export, and then I'll run the command again, and then CDK Local Deploy. Now we can see that we got this URL, and what we need to do is, let me copy this URL, clear this out, AWS SQS send message. You don't need to remember this command. I will share you all this information on the description. So URL, and then we need to put the name of URL, and then message body, it will be hello from CDK. So this command is useful when you want to kind of test any Lambda which has been already deployed on one of the AWS account. But since we are testing this thing, everything locally, then instead of AWS, we need to run a command which is AWS Local. Okay. Now we can see that it has just added this kind of information to the queue. And if we can scroll bottom, we can see that the message has been sent to this queue, and this Lambda has also been invoked. Now to test it out whether what is the value of this logs of this Lambda, we again need to run another command which is AWS Local logs, and here we are going to fetch the information from the CloudWatch. So it will be tail, and then AWS Lambda hello SQS. So here we can see that one message which is hello from CDK, and another message which is coming from hello from Lambda, and one other message is coming from hello from CDK, which we have written over here. So by this is where we have kind of tested the AWS SQS event to this AWS Lambda. Everything is working fine. I hope you like this video. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching.